Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's keynote. My name is Jaylene Walker, and I am the Staff Development Coordinator for Prince George's County Memorial Library System. This session is part of Career Success Month, a statewide initiative of Maryland's public libraries. Career Success Month was developed by the Workforce Community of Practice, COP, which I co chair with Elena Davenport from Enoch Pratt Library and Christopher Burrows from Cecil County Library. I am now pleased to introduce tonight's speaker, Walter Simmons. Walter is the founding president and CEO of Employee Prince George's and the executive director of the Prince George's County Workforce Development Board. He partnered with Prince George's County government and the Prince George's County Workforce Development Board to found Employee Prince George's and redesign the Prince George's County Public Workforce System in 2018. He is passionate about creating equitable access to economic success for people, businesses, and communities. Along with founding Employee Prince George's, Walter led Employee Prince George's and the Prince George's County Workforce Development Board in creating America's first local workforce system operating as a free membership network, the Prince George's County American Job Center Community Network. Today, the Prince George's County American Job Center Network and Employee Prince George's have partnered with over 200 organizations, served over 90,000 job seekers, assisted over 8,500 businesses, and helped over 15,000 Prince George's County residents secure employment. Walter volunteers with multiple nonprofits in his spare time, including serving as the chair of the Maryland Association of Nonprofit Organizations and Impact DMV. He is also a member of the board of directors for the Bi-County Business Roundtable, the Maryland Chamber of Commerce, the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, and the National Association of Workforce Boards. In 2022, the National Association of Workforce Boards awarded Employee Prince George's and the Prince George's County Workforce Development Board as their 2022 WIOA Trailblazer, followed by the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, honoring Walter as their Workforce Development Professional of the Year in 2023. He has also been recognized twice as one of the Maryland Daily Record's most admired CEOs, one of Maryland's most influential professionals, and a Washington Business Journal 40 Under 40. During this session, feel free to put your questions for Walter in the chat for our Q&A session at the end. With that, I'll turn it over to Walter. We look forward to seeing what you have for us tonight.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for having me. Uh, I'm excited to have this conversation to really talk about what does it mean to secure not just a job, but a career. The biggest thing, the biggest thing that we should really start the conversation with is you have to know, it's just like project management. You have to work from backwards to forward. What is the end result? And wherever you are on your career journey, I want you all to speed up 10, 15, 20 years. And if you're retired in 10 years, where do you want to be when you're retired? If you're 20 and you're going to work for the next 40 years, what are your goals in retirement, right? What do you want to do? This is where the job search starts. Because the number one thing that you have to understand when you're looking for a job, when you're interviewing, is people want to know, business leaders want to know, HR recruitment specialists want to know one thing. How is this person going to contribute to my bottom line? You really, when you're going through your job search process, you should really understand what is the individual person that you're talking to, what's their bottom line. So a recruiter wants to identify the most skilled and qualified people that they can refer to a hiring manager. So when you know that going in, you always ask the recruiter. When they say, hey, are you interested in this job? I am. What are you looking for out of a position? What skill sets do you believe are going to lead to the highest success? What is the educational background? What is the work experience? You have to understand that recruiter and understand their perspective on the position that you're hiring for, that you're applying for. When you move from a recruiter, and keep in mind, this could be a virtual recruiter. So you have to look at the job application. You have to look at the job description. Most times the description, the job posting, and the application will tell you what they want. They are telling you the answers to the test. But the true test is, can you see those answers as you're applying? When you get in the interview stage, you have to understand, you have to figure out, what does that hiring manager want? What is their bottom line? What is their end result? And this is where you go from a recruiter conversation of what skills and what experience or what are you looking for to carry the job. When you talk to that hiring manager, you ask that hiring manager, what does a successful person look like in this job? At the end of the first 90 days, what does success look like for the person that you hired? What does success look like in the first year? So you, as you're interviewing, you want to create 4 to 5 questions that you want to get answered indirectly through your interview, that you can get the answers to those questions during the interview and then answer. Right? So just remember that you want to start from the end result with that. Now, before you get on that interview and before you hit send, you have to start with your end result. The number one thing that I hear from employers all the time when people say, I'll take any job. I just want to work. What do you want to do? I'll do anything. Nope. People don't want to hear that. They want to hear specifics. They want to hear specificity, right? So specifics and specificity, you say that 18 times, I dare you. But you have to know, you have to make really sometimes a personal connection to a professional opportunity. I'm not telling you to say like, hey, I like video games, or hey, I like cooking. And no, not that kind of stuff, right? If I'm applying for the job at the Prince George's County Memorial Library system and they say, Walter, why are you applying to work at the Prince George's County Memorial Library? You can say, I've created a career and I've always wanted to invest in my community and invest in young people and help them move forward. And through a career at the library, I have the opportunity to provide educational training and occupational resources through the resources provided at the library to help people move forward. That's a personal connection. Now that library system knows that they're invested in me, right? Now, it could also be a personal connection on your own career goals, right? People aren't going to always start by working at their career job. It might start at Popeye. It might start at Chick-fil-A. So if I was applying for Chick-fil-A, they would say, Walter, what brought you to Chick-fil-A? I'm starting my career journey. I'm 18, I'm 19. I haven't had much career experience. And I've researched Chick-fil-A. There's a good, professional development. I've read online that you learn core skills that can help you break through your career. And I know that I'm not going to work at Chick-fil-A forever. But I believe that Chick-fil-A is the perfect place for me to develop the skill set, the knowledge, and experience for me to be successful in my long-term career. And hopefully I can learn these things at Chick-fil-A and develop myself long enough to be successful, right? That's that personal connection. So you should really try that. Now, for those people that don't know what Employer Prince George's is, don't know what the Prince George's County Workforce Board, don't worry about it. Check in the chat and you can see our website at employpg.org. In Maryland, we represent one of the 13 workforce development areas in Maryland. But there are other workforce organizations. You have the Mayor's Office of Employment and Development in Baltimore. You have the Department of Employment and Workforce Development in Baltimore County. We're going to post a link in the chat where you can actually find your local workforce board, workforce center, American Job Center. We go by a ton of different names. If you're in Cecil or Hartford County, you have Susquehanna. If you're on the lower shore, the upper shore, Southern Maryland, Frederick County, we have job centers everywhere. We'll make sure that link is added to the chat for you to find your local American Job Center. I represent Prince George's County, but we are throughout Maryland. So keep that in mind. Why should you visit your local job center? One, it's a free resource. It's a free resource. where there's thousands of jobs posted in Maryland. There's free career readiness training, interview skills. You also have the opportunity to get skills upgrading scholarships. You have to go to the county or city that you live in because it's based on your residence, but they can offer skills upgrading scholarships to get skilled in a specific occupation. Now, what if you don't know what occupation you want to go into? Don't worry. I encourage everybody here to go to your local library, get a library card, and use the online resources available. You have resources like the Maryland Jobs Network. You have resources like the Maryland Workforce Exchange. You also have ONET Online. You can access these resources at your local library or at your local American Job Center, but you got to get your library card. You can't be on a library calling Career Success Month on a library workshop and not get a library card. So hopefully everybody has one. But you need to look at wherever you're online, at a library, at a job center, or in your home, career interest and aptitude assessments. I'm going to say it again. Career interest and aptitude assessments. Those interest assessments are going to tell you, based on the answers in your brain, what you're interested in. But don't just take an interest assessment alone. Spend an extra 20 minutes and do a career aptitude assessment. Now, that interest assessment is going to tell you what you're interested in, and aptitude assessment tells you what you're best suited for. And they are going to eventually meet in the middle. Where your career interests and your aptitude meet, that is the career path for you. Now, what are you when you look for a career, and you're going to be specific because we're focused on specificity. Specificity. Be specific. You're going to look for two different things. What is the industry that I'm interested in, and what is the type of occupation? Now, the third could be what is the job title, but job titles will change. But you're going to look at identifying what is the industry. Now, we're going to make sure, we're going to figure out how to get you everybody who wants a report. We'll make sure that we can make available. We'll figure out the right information to get these in front of you. Maryland has a number of top industries. The number one industry in Maryland is government. Now, we have a new presidential administration. So they have announced a hiring freeze. So you might want to wait if it's the federal government. But keep in mind, you have the federal government, state government. You also have counties, and you have local municipalities. Government is the number one industry sector in Maryland, followed by healthcare and social assistance. Right? You also look at professional, scientific, and technical services. These are a lot of your office jobs, your research jobs, followed by the retail trade. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to make a career. How can you make a livable wage out of selling clothes? One thing you look at is a key holder. That's a manager. Key holders is a high earning wage position, occupation in retail. Your key holders can make anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000. You also might be able to be a key holder at multiple brands. When you talk about a Tanger Outlets, you look at your local malls, you look at shopping centers, we have National Harbor. Sometimes you can have a key holder for multiple companies. So keep in mind, retail trade does have that. You have occupation, accommodation, and food services. What is accommodation? It could be your personal services, a masseuse, a nail tech, barber salon. Of course, that's not really my thing. But accommodation and food services, followed by construction, administrative and support professionals, also transportation and warehousing, manufacturing. There's a lot of manufacturing going on in Maryland. You just need to look and find it. If you like putting things together, manufacturing might be good for you. They also have educational services and then financial services. So we will make sure you get a report. But those are the top industries. And you should know, once you take that career interest and aptitude, and you should know when you go into places, when you speak, they say, why do you want to work? And they say, hey, I am interested in working in this industry, and your company is in that industry. Not many people can tell a company what industry they're in and tell them they match it. So now you're always ahead. The next thing that you should look at is occupations. You want to look at occupations that are highest growth. So we have another report that we'll make sure is the highest occupation. Now, The reason why you start with industry and an occupation is because industries can give you a general information, but understand that occupations cross over industry. And that's one of the number one things. I have a lot of number one things. That's one of the things that people miss all the time. When they say they want to have a professional job or office job, they only apply to the government, not realizing there's office jobs like construction, healthcare, transportation, warehousing, manufacturing. Every business has an office. So don't limit where you apply based on the occupation. And the number one occupation in Maryland is office occupations and administrative support. So don't limit your occupational interest by industry. You should know your industry, but know your occupation. The next highest occupation is management occupations, followed by business and financial occupations, followed by sales related occupations, then transportation and material moving, food preparation, education, instruction, and library occupations. How many of y'all have applied to your local library? Have you looked for openings at your local library? I want to hear that. Put that in the comment section. So let's keep going. But lastly, healthcare practitioners and technical occupations, construction and extraction occupations, and lastly, healthcare support. Those are the top occupations posted in Maryland. Now, for those that are saying, what are they paying? The highest paying occupation in Maryland is management occupation at a median salary, hourly salary of $58. The lowest is sales and retail at $17.42. And then you have occupations. Well, no, the lowest is food preparation at $15.90, and then sales and retail at $17.42. So those are things to look at. You also got business and financial around $42 an hour, educational, instruction, and library at $30 an hour, construction and extraction at $26. So it ranges. Okay, so you got to start from the end game and work your way backwards with your interests, but also knowing your employer. You need to be able to make that personal connection with employers, right? You should also know your career interests and your career aptitude and match them. Use those resources. And you should also know what industry you want to work in, what occupation you want to work in, and then also what are the different job titles, and really understand. And we'll have those reports. So let's close it out and talk about skills. What are the skills that we need to know? And you should really look at that job description and that job posting, because they will tell you what skills they're looking for. And they're going to tell you what their terms are for those skills. You need to use the terms that your employer is using, and don't use your own verbiage. You need to use their verbiage, but make it relative, make you understand it. You know, like they say, it's Google it, it's Googleable. So understand their terms. And you need to communicate your knowledge of those skills and your ability to demonstrate those skills in your application, in your resume, in your cover letter, in your interview, in your application, in your resume, in your cover letter, and in the interview. So you need to be able to show that. But what are the top skills in Maryland? So when you look at all the jobs posted, project management is the top skill in Maryland. That is the top specialized skill in Maryland. You don't need a project management certification. You need project management skills. So can you all, everybody on here, can you tell a time when you had to manage a project? Now, you can talk about a project in school, a project with your family. I tell people all the time, you ever plan a family reunion? That's project management, right? You ever plan a graduation? That is project management. The next top specialized skill is nursing, followed by marketing, computer science, auditing. And auditing doesn't mean you need to be an auditor. Can you research? Can you look at files? Can you spell check? Can you look at numbers to make sure they're correct? Merchandising, accounting, data analysis, finance, and selling. Those are the top specialized skills in Maryland. So that's something to look at. That's also including those reports. Now, when I mentioned your American Job Center Junior Library, there's a ton of free resources. Go to your local library to identify the free online resources. Make sure you take advantage. Now, at your local job center, we also have them. We're going to post the link. If you're interested in free online training and you're a Prince George's County resident, we have a tool called Skill Up Prince George's County. We'll put that link in the chat. And you can, if you're a Prince George's County resident, you can use that to take free online training. There are 5,000 free courses. Now, we don't pay for the certification, but we will pay for the training. And that's how you can develop your skills. So, and lastly, I want to leave you with this. I always say that workforce development, job search is very similar to online dating. Swipe left, swipe right. You have to identify what you want that employer to look at you. And the reason why I say it's like online dating, because you all have a profile and people look at your profile to see if they like it. That's a little headline. That profile is going to be your application. If that application looks good, they're going to click it. They're going to pull up your resume and your cover letter. That's the next step. If they look at the resume and cover letter, then they say, oh, we might want to message that person. They're going to send you an email. That's that first contact, right? Now, make sure the first time you apply for a job, you're on the interview. Because once you apply for a job, you got to check your voicemail. Is your voicemail appropriate? Clear your voicemail out. Is your email name, is your email address appropriate? Make sure the email address is appropriate. Make sure your social media presence is appropriate, right? So all of those things. After they send you that message, they might want to see if they want to take it, if they want to figure out if they want to date you. To do that, they're going to interview you. That's the first date, right? That's the interview. They're going to get to know you. You meet in person, either virtually or in person. They're going to ask you questions, you ask them. And what you're trying to figure out is to get them to go on that second and third date. And eventually you want them to be your partner, but they want to be your employer partner, right? So it's just like dating in the world. There's always, they look at your profile, they click it, they look at your resume, cover letter, they do an interview, they might do multiple interviews, and then they decide do they want to partner with you. But you also have to decide, is this the right employer for you? Because in any relationship, both people have to choose. And you have to know what you want, because you don't want to choose and you look like a job hopper, you're doing a bunch of jobs. So you want to really know what you want, because if you know what you want, you'll be able to display that on the interview and you will sell yourself. So know what you want. We can have more questions when we go into it, but these are the things that I think when you are trying to secure the career and increase your skills, there's a ton of free resources at your library, at your job center. The local workforce boards can give you scholarships to update your skills and get occupational skills, a CDL, healthcare, project management, HR, finance. You also have your local community colleges that have what you call Perkins Act funding. They also have Maryland Promise funding. These you can get non-credit, non-degree granting certificate programs. You have free online trainings at your library and resources where you can develop your skills. But what I'm talking to you today is, what do you say when you go into an interview? Do you know your career interests and aptitude and where they intersect? Do you know your industry? Can you speak to your industry and your employer? Do you know what occupation? Do you know your skills and the skills that your employer wants, and can you speak to them? And do you actually understand the job interview process? Do you know where you are in that dating process so that you can make sure you're moving correctly? I'll say this and then we'll go into questions. I'll leave you with a quote somebody told me. They said, everything we do is complex, but not necessarily difficult. Remember, everything we do is complex, but not necessarily difficult. That means that even the easy things are complex. You might not realize it. But if you don't pay attention to the complexities of applying for a job, oh, let me just apply real quick and hit send. No, reread that application. Did you use the verbiage? Did you answer the questions? Did you sell yourself? Oh, we're just going to have an interview. They're going to ask me questions. Do you understand those questions? Are you prepared for those questions? Right? So, oh, they're just going to do a quick 10-minute phone screen. That's a very important 10 minutes. So remember, everything you do is complex, but not necessarily difficult. We'll take questions. Please click those links. Get your library card. Become a member. and utilize these resources. And thank you to the library system for having me for career success.
Thank you for joining us tonight, Walter. I know our community of practice and patrons that are joining us tonight on this presentation appreciate it. I'm going to take a couple questions for you and let's see what your feedback is on some of these. Starting with, understanding different generations is crucial in today's workplace. How can libraries help bridge generational gaps by offering resources and training that helps individuals connect with various work environments? And what are some key resources you believe libraries should focus on to foster this understanding?
Yeah, I think libraries can be a key resource in just general communication. The best way to practice communication is to communicate. So one of the things that I always talk to people about, especially young people and people that have been out of the workforce, go shake somebody's hand that you don't know. Right? Can you create small talk? Right? Can you create small talk? Can you create a conversation without being uncomfortable? Like if I saw you, Christopher, I would go in. How you doing? My name is Walter Simmons. Nice to meet you. This is what I'm here for. Right? Create these things. Now I'm gonna tell you, there's also a ton of books on communication. There's also working in intergenerational workforces. So you should read and do your research if you think that is something. A book that I like is about conversation. It's called Crucial Conversations. I know it's at the library. It is actually an entire book about how to communicate when you're in tense environments. And anywhere in the workplace, you're always going to encounter tense environments. How we handle those environments, how we prepare and respond is going to be our success. And an interview is one of those tense environments where you have a lot riding on getting this job. Can you count to 10? Can you relax? Can you move those sweat from your palms? Right? So I think the library should really focus, maybe even, and I know in Prince George's County, we have job fairs, we have hiring events, we have career days. So figuring out going to that library and practicing communication, reading about it. There's also a lot of virtual tools and computers. That's what I would say.
Fantastic. I think a follow up on that for me thinking about that is, what would you recommend to those people that maybe they feel maybe more like maybe an introvert, or they might feel more like maybe a little bit uncomfortable with starting that process of making small talk and starting to walk up to people? How would you recommend that people take those steps into doing that?
Well, see, that's why I think let's pick, are you looking for the right career? Right? So that's why I think anybody who's introverted, or you don't know what you want to do, or you've been in some situations and some jobs and you're like, that's not for me. That's fine. Do the career interest and aptitude assessment and let those assessments tell you, like Onet, what career occupations and interests best match your personality. And see, where you find that intersection, Chris, then you find jobs that match that. And then once you find a job or a career or a business or industry that matches your personality, most likely you'll be interviewing with someone like you, and that's going to make you more comfortable, right? We need to stop trying to put triangles into squares and circles into triangles. There are tools out here that the library has, that other online resources that can help that introverted person, that can help that person that doesn't like, I like to talk. So I can't work in anywhere. I couldn't work in the library because I'm loud. I like to scream. Sometimes you got to wake up and scream. Library is not a good fit for my personality. But I work in a position where I can talk and yell, and it works. So that's why I say career interest and career aptitude, take that assessment, find that match, and apply for jobs that match your personality and interest.
Awesome. A couple other ones that we have here. One would be, can you talk about how to get started after being unemployed for a long time? What resources are available, and how do I keep up my hopes of finding a job?
Oh, I would say the state of Maryland has a professional outreach assistance network. And network. When you've been out of work for a long time, you got to ease back into it. You do that by start networking, start meeting people. Nobody knows that you're unemployed based on how you look, unless you look unemployed and you tell them unemployed. So get dressed up, put your jacket on, put a nice outfit on, and go walk into somewhere and start introducing yourself. And when people say, what do? You say, I'm in between employment right now, trying to identify the right opportunity. You can say, I've really taken some time. to explore. Not working right now as I try to find that next, what is my next career journey? But you have to carry yourself like you can get employed any day, and that's going to exude. So if you've been out of work for a long time, go find that business casual outfit. Or like me, just throw a jacket on top of a regular shirt, because you can put a jacket on top of a t-shirt and be good to go. And go meet people and start having conversations. Your network is your net worth. And through networking, you can find that in LinkedIn. Get on LinkedIn. Is your profile updated? That's what I would say, Chris. Is their profile updated? Is your headshot updated? Right? You can do a headshot on your phone, take a picture, right? And add your skill set, add your interests, and start finding groups so you can do some social media networking as well. And on social media, you only have to be dressed up from the chest up. You don't even have to put pants on. Nobody will ever know. So I think if you've been out of work for a long time, you definitely need to network.
That's great. Yeah, I think as we go on here, there's another one coming in of what book or books would you recommend for job seekers? I know you've already touched on Crucial Conversations. You recommended that one earlier. What book or books would you recommend, podcasts, websites for job seekers?
Ooh, I would say this. World Economic Forum is a good online resource to check out, and it talks about everything from climate change to skills to AI. Harvard Business Review. Harvard Business Review is another good periodical. Forbes is another good periodical, but also your local business journal, local stuff that's related to Maryland. I'm a big consumer of online, of news. I like print. I think you should really look at what is any like professional journals, and I'm sure, Chris, there's journals that you can interest in the library even electronically. Those professional journals that are related to your career interests are key. I never, when you stop learning, you stop living. So even though I'm employed, I have Google alerts, and I'm consistently reading journals and updates and articles just to stay current on my own career. And so I think if professionals that are working in the industries are reading those, if you're looking to get into that industry, you should be reading the same thing that we're reading, or that where you want to be is reading. And then that'll make your network and even your interview better. And on LinkedIn, sometimes people like me share a lot. I say, this is a great article. If you're interviewing with me, you probably should look at my LinkedIn. I will tell you the things that I'm interested in and what I want out of an employee at Employer Prince George. And also, Chris, I would say this. Understand when you apply for the job, you have to ask yourself, what makes you different than everybody else? And understand that those generic questions, they'll say, if I was interviewing with you, Christopher, I could say, yeah, Christopher, why should I hire you, Walter? Because, Christopher, I'm a hard worker. Yeah, that's what everybody says. Nobody goes to an interview and says, I'm lazy. Oh, I show up on time. Nobody goes to an interview and says, I'm late. That's what everybody can say. So you have to separate yourself, and utilizing journals and articles and different books that are related to the industry. When you can say, hey, I read this or I learned this, that's the way to set yourself apart.
And I can see as we're going on, as we've gone through these questions, I see that you're very passionate about what you do and about workforce development. How did you get involved in workforce development initially? Was there someone in your life who helped you along the way? And what in your career helps you to help others find jobs?
Well, I worked in a jail, and that's how I got here. Worked in a juvenile jail, and I found a young man that decided that he would rather stay in jail than go back to the free world. And that was the turning point for me. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was a college athlete. I wasn't that good in high school. I was one of those people that, it was 50-50 if I was going to pass the class, right? But once I found my passion, because I didn't do a career interest inventory, right? But I found someone that, and I thought it was awful that somebody enjoyed jail more than being free. But when he told me what his home life was like, it was not a good home life. And I was in my early 20s. And at that moment, Christopher, I made a decision that I'm going to make sure that people have a better life, so that jail can't be better than being at home. So how do I do that? And so I've been on a journey for probably the last 17, 18 years on helping people have pathways to the middle class, healthy and safe households, and you can do that through work and education. But to tell you, I also like experiencing and learning. And in workforce development, economic development, you're at the center of everything. You get to meet people at the libraries. You get to meet elected officials, business people. You get to meet chambers. So I'm not a person, I like to be out and about. And so this is also a good field for people that just like to be engaged and helping people at the same time.
Thank you for sharing your story of how you got into it. I think it's great of what motivated you to get in and how you're helping people change their lives. One question we got in the chat was, and I'm thinking, I don't necessarily know because I don't know the whole context for the question, but the person asked, what's the best way to stand out in terms of short answers on applications? And I'm assuming this is probably about those long online applications that a lot of us have seen. And maybe like if in library world, we've seen people come to us and ask us for help with applications. What is the best way to stand out, in your opinion, in terms of those short answers on applications?
Ooh, I mean, to stand out, you need to think about a unique answer that still speaks to the question. And I would do research. If I were you, if there's a short answer on the question, I would tie it back to the company or something in that company's market, right? So somebody will say, well, do you enjoy, like there's questions. You also got to understand, when they're asking you that question, you have to think about what are they trying to assess. Remember, work backwards, Christopher. So when they ask that short question, they're trying to see, do you have a skill set or interest in a specific field? When you look at that question, you should ask yourself, what answer are they looking for, or what are they trying to determine? So I'll give you a good answer. When I worked for Lowe's, home improvement, and they would say, do you like listening to people's problems? And most people on the answer would be like, no. And they just put no. But it's Lowe's. It's a retail store. When you don't go to Lowe's to hang out with Christopher and Walter. You go to Lowe's home improvement. So they were asking you, if I walk into Lowe's and my toilet is broken, or I need to get some plants, or I need to get a bug zapper, or I need to paint my child's bedroom because they took a magic marker to the wall, that is a problem. And so that question was really short, but it was a core piece of, yes, I love helping others. And so listening to their problems allows me to determine, can I be of use to them? Or do I know someone that can refer them to them? But I love being able to help someone. Really short question, and how you answer it could be very different. So that's a great question, Christopher, right? And you could also say, that's why I applied to Lowe's. I love your commercial of blah, 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 blah. That's who I am as a person. And so I feel like because I connected with your commercial, I'd be a great employee. So Christopher, hopefully you'd hire me.
I like that answer. And I think especially if thinking about what their goals are is good really for any interview that you do or any kind of application that you're looking at. I hear also that I'm seeing that there's a mobile unit that you've had with working with Employ Prince George's. And can you tell us about that mobile unit and how it impacts your services to the community?
Oh, yeah. So Prince George's County is 499 square miles, 484 lane. We only have a small amount of job centers, and there's a small amount of EPG staff and other partners in the job center. So what we wanted to do is get people back to work. And so we decided if the people couldn't make it or don't want to come to a job center, we're going to go to them. So we have a fully functional job center. It's ADA compliant, so people with different abilities can still access it. There's 8 to 10 computers, internet. They can apply for jobs. They can do mock interviews. They can apply for skills upgrading scholarships. And if you go to our website, pgcajc.com, pgcajc.com, people can go on there and reserve the mobile unit if you wanted to come to your community or location. And so we drive around the county providing resources. And I know I will be. I know y'all don't have all the time, but if anybody has any questions, I'll provide my CEO office email, and we'll make sure that gets sent out to everybody. They can put it. I'm sure Christopher or somebody can put it in the chat. But definitely follow us. And again, social media is key. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook is key in your job search. We are all looking. Yes, employers are on Instagram. Employers are on Facebook. They're on LinkedIn. Or they're on X, right? Because they are looking. But follow us on social media. Follow Employ Prince George's. We share where we are. We share where we're going. And so anybody can do that. And I would encourage them to share, follow everybody on social media. A lot of business and governments are now communicating. So I would encourage everybody to get on social media, follow your local government, follow your local library, follow your local job center to stay current on information. And even the employers you're interviewing for, you should see what they are posting, and that should guide you in your interview and application.
As you're speaking, I'm seeing another question come in about mentorship. I thought this was an interesting one because I feel like in many ways you probably have done this for people, or you've been in a role where you've mentored people and coaching and getting jobs and things like that. How can job seekers find professional mentors? What should they look for, and how can they help you in your journey?
I think I would actually caution about mentors. Why is that? Because anybody that's quick to mentor you, you got to question, like, what's the quality? Because we're working, we have kids. If you say, Christopher, will you mentor me? Yes, sure, right? You really want to look at, most people don't want to agree to be a mentor because they care, that they want to give you their 100%. So sometimes it can be very hard to get a professional mentor. So what I would more ask is, as somebody, can I borrow 30 minutes of your time to kind of learn about your professional journey? And would you be willing to help me on mine? Because if you say mentor me and you'll be like, how long? A year, 6 months? I got to meet with you every week, Chris? Like, that's a lot to commit to. But 30 minutes is key. So I would ask for 30 minutes, right? I would also look at your job study, look on social media. We also offer mock interviews. We've actually done mock interviews at our mobile unit and with our local library. So you should look for 30-minute increments, but also look for resources that are offering mock interviews. And then also, I would also go to chamber events. If you look for free events at your local chamber or your state chamber, and you can find some people to talk to, and you can actually get some question and answers and meet mentors. So I would also look at that. But I wouldn't ask for a mentor. I would start by asking people, do you have 30 minutes? I would love to learn about your journey, learn from you, and would you be willing to give me that information? So, I think I would add that. And again, LinkedIn is a great place. I meet a lot of people on LinkedIn. Chris, I might stalk you on LinkedIn. And I've asked people from Las Vegas, I say, can I connect with you? Send them a message. You'd be respond. They say, yeah, I'll shoot you an email. So I would encourage everybody to ask for 30 minutes or a quick conversation. Don't start with the mentoring. Ask for that quick conversation.
Great. And now I'm going to actually turn it over to Jaylene. She had a couple additional questions for you, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her.
Awesome. Jaylene, you're on mute.
Just running my mouth, right? Okay. So I had a question for you. Okay, so as the founding president and CEO of Employer Prince George's, you have been instrumental in connecting job seekers with employers in the region. Can you share how your organization collaborates with local libraries or other community resources to support career development, particularly in the context of remote and hybrid work trends that are shaping the workforce?
Sure. We operate on a model. I would encourage everybody to Google it. Collective impact. Collective impact is a model that we use. Anybody can say that they partner, but collective impact is a specific form of partnership used to address or resolve a specific social issue. And there's 5 conditions of collective impact. And so what I've done is build an organization on how do I solve a specific problem, which is economic mobility. People need money to live and to prosper. To get money, you need a job, you need a career. So if I can help get people to work and they can make revenue, we can teach them financial literacy, they can go on to have long and prosperous lives. But through collective impact, they talk about mitigating isolated impact. That's when one person thinks they can do it all, or one entity. So what I decided was, how do I build this expansive network to help move people forward? Financial literacy, housing, education, career readiness, supportive services, transportation assistance, childcare. And so what I did with the creation of Employ Prince George's is I created this backbone support organization, which is Employ Prince George's. We would bring this full network. So when you visit a job center in Prince George's County, there's normally anywhere from 10 to 20 different partner organizations. You might not know that they're from different organizations because they're dressed just like me. They might not have a shirt on that says what organization, but normally there's 10 to 20 organizations in every job center, and they're designed to bring a specific service or resource to the community. And through that work, we decided as a nonprofit, 55% of every dollar that we brought in, we would send back out to the community. And we raised over $150 million over the last 6-7 years. And I'm happy to say close to 60 to 70 million we've put out into our community. We've advocated, and using a collective impact approach is how we've been able to be successful. And Jaylen, I would say that's the same thing for people that are looking for a job. The number one thing that you're never going to work on a job and be by yourself. Even if you're virtual, you're going to have to hop on a virtual platform to work with your teammates. So your ability to work within a team, to lead a team, or to work with other teams to achieve your goal, your department's goal, or your organization's goal is really something that is a skill set that employers look for. So I think our ability to be a team in our system and is our success, and it's the same success for people applying for a job. And the library is a perfect resource. We want to integrate into communities. And there's a library everywhere. I know y'all say you only got about 20 libraries in Prince George's County, but I feel like it's 80 because y'all are everywhere. So what we saw was the library to be an arm of the job center. If you got computers, you can put our virtual career center on your website, and people can access us. And now we've really grown that into you all are getting your own mobile unit that we're going to partner on, and we can leverage that. And we host a lot of our events. I want to say we, at least every month, every other month, we have a job fair at one of our local libraries. So it's just a great community partner. You're already integrated into the community. And so we saw that as a prime tool as our collective impact. And in collective impact, everybody, you have a backbone support organization. You have a common agenda. You have a shared measurement system. You have continuous communication. And then you have a team of very specific partners. All of those come together, and that's how you develop a collective impact strategy.
Yes, I was going to piggyback off of that and say that you've been involved with our Career Kickstart program. You've been involved with job fairs happening continuously. And now with the mobile unit, which I wanted to speak about that, like how has that impacted the community in terms of the mobile unit, and what has that done for your organization in terms of expanding your services, having those mobile units?
Well, people need to understand workforce development is economic development. And you can't have economic development without workforce development. People are like, oh, what does that mean? Economic development and workforce development are both focused on achieving economic prosperity for a specific geographical area. The difference is economic development achieves that goal by focusing on businesses. Workforce development achieves that goal by focusing on people. So we want to improve economic prosperity for a specific region by focusing on the people. And you got to go where people are. You can't expect them to come to you. And that's the mobile unit. I always call it the pull-up bus. Because people are like, I'm over here, I'm going to pull up on you. We got a bunch of people over here, I'm going to pull up on them too. Well, I can't get there, I'm going to pull up on you. So the mobile unit is the pull-up bus. And we just bring jobs, resources, connectivity to the front step of the community. And with the addition of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System mobile unit, that'll be the second mobile unit. And I'm going to put something out there. How many of our people on the call have children? And how many of you all have children that are in middle or high school? You really need to research Blueprint for Maryland's Future Career Counselor. Every middle and high school in Maryland right now has a career counselor for career pathway. You have that resources regardless of where you are in Maryland. And this is breaking news for the community. We are adding a third mobile unit to Prince George's County, and it is going to be a career navigation mobile unit to go to all 74 high schools and middle schools in Prince George's County. So now we're going to be pulling up on these kids, but we're going to be pulling up on them to teach them about careers at an early age so they can understand what careers available and align it with their educational studies. So, that's what we do. We pull up on people.
The concept of pulling up on it, it was very instrumental in us having a recent a re-entry fair last year, and collaborating with your organization, with your mobile unit, and our workforce team really well. I wanted to also ask you about any milestone that you wanted to speak about, like a particular milestone, and maybe it might be more than one, that really has impacted you in the work that you do that you'd like to share, besides starting this whole thing. But what is a milestone that you could speak to?
Well, one of the big things that I like to talk about is career pathways. One of the things I like to talk about is career pathways. I have two milestones. An internal milestone is I have multiple people on my staff that have gone from participant to now employee. And I'm gonna tell you, when you want to apply for a job at Employer Prince George's, the entry level salary is about $56,000. It's a good entry level job. There's some administrative jobs that pay about $45,000. And so to take somebody from zero unemployed to $56,000 and then moving them up to management, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 is one of my greatest accomplishments. Also understand that Employer Prince George's started with a couple of people, and now we have 150 full-time employees. So to really, one thing that you all want to look at and people want to look at when they're doing a career is career pathway. When people say on the interview, do you have any questions for us? Never say no. You should always ask people 3 questions. Now make them short. Once you do an interview, don't have a whole another hour long of questions. Make your questions short. But one of the questions I would always ask people is, when you ask that employer, is there any, do you all have any internal career progression or career pathway tracks for employees to grow within your company? And what you want to show when you ask an employer that is like, hey, I'm not here for a quick one and done job. I don't want to be here for 6 months a year. You want to let them know I'm interested in growing with your company. Do you have opportunities for growth or programs to help people grow? Or you can ask, do you have any skill development opportunities where people can increase their skills while working there? Those are 2 quick questions. And then you can say, is there a leadership track for the position I'm applying for? If I am selected, is there an opportunity to move up in your company if it's a good fit for myself and you as my supervisor? Those are 3 good leadership career pathway questions. And that's what I try to offer our employees at Employer Prince George's. But the second external that I want to talk about is we have literally helped probably over 40,000 to 50,000 people secure jobs. We can actually document, tens of thousands of people have gotten a job. We can see their wage records from our event. And I'm very happy about that. And during COVID, we gave out over $3 million in aid to families in need. So when everybody was closed, if you go online, I had a mask on, I had one of those gloves, I had some Lysol, but we gave out $200 and $300 gift cards to our community. We dispersed millions of dollars. Those would be the 3 biggest takeaways. The career pathways at Employer Prince George's, helping tens of thousands of people secure employment. And then also when our community was most at need, we really do that. And right now, to let everybody know, we have hiring incentives. If you are a Prince George's County resident, you may qualify, your employer may qualify for an incentive for hiring you. It's like Willy Wonka with that golden ticket. So people can go to our website, employpg.org, check out hiring incentives and see if they would qualify their employer for a hiring incentive. That's something to think about.
This has been like an amazing conversation. I'm going to, we could talk to you for so much that I wanted to talk to, that we wanted to talk to you about. So I'm going to turn this over to another co-chair, Elena Davenport, to close out our program for this evening.
I'm ready for this one.
No, I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you, Walter, for spending your evening with us. I want to thank everyone who signed up to attend tonight's webinar. We are excited to continue the Career Success Month with programs at several public libraries across the state of Maryland. If you would like to see a list of programs, search for the Career Success Month 2025 on Google. It's Googleable, right? Isn't that the term you use?
It's Googleable.
Googleable. And click on the Maryland State Library's page. Shameless plug, we have one more keynote in the next couple of weeks that will be hosted by my library system, Enoch Pratt Free Library. So please, please, please join us for that amazing, amazing evening. We also want to sincerely, we want to also sincerely appreciate, again, your feedback by participating in a survey, which is actually going to be in the link. Is it in the comments yet? Perfect. Yes, yes, yes. So if you don't mind clicking on the link to complete the survey, let us know how you enjoyed this presentation tonight. We have about 90, Jaylene, is that correct? 90 workshops that are on.
We're up to 133.
Woo-hoo!
Yes.
So yes, that is a culminating effort of all the libraries in the state of Maryland where we have come together and listed all of our workforce development, job readiness workshops for our communities to take advantage of. Well, I think that's it. I thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yes, we are excited. Yes.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Again, that survey is in the link. Please click on that and complete that. And have a great rest of your evening. And we hope
thank you
at all of our future Career Success Month programs.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful evening.